Hi, this is Nahi. In our November Best Practices Forum, we're going to talk about the source of conflict. The first time I realized how important conflict is to organizations was when I read this book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lenciani. He has a great model for effective teams, and one of the most important components in that model is conflict. And you would think, well, that's a bad thing, but actually there's a difference between productive conflict and unproductive conflict. And the best teams have to have productive conflict, which is essentially people sharing differences of opinions on important issues so that they can make really great decisions. So this is fantastic. We know that we need productive conflict, but how do you get there? So there's another book that I love. It's called Crucial Conversations, Tools for Talking When the Stakes Are High. And what this book does really, really well is share a model for how to have a safe conversation or how to have productive conflict. This is how you're supposed to set up the conversation so that you can make it safe for everyone to share their different opinions and thus get to a good decision. But what I always felt was missing, not necessarily from this book, but from the dialogue, is what causes the conflict in the first place. What causes the unproductive conflict? What causes the emotional reactions that lead to the conflict? Because unfortunately, people get upset with each other. So the book that I'm reading now, which I think adds an interesting piece to the puzzle, is called The Anatomy of Peace. And what I like about this book is it goes deeper. It still talks about business and leaders, but now it talks about what happens inside you that creates certain emotions. For example, compassion. It's a way of thinking that creates compassion and integrity and thus causes you, even in the heat of a personal disagreement that's really extreme, to be compassionate in how you talk to the other person. Versus another way of being, which tends to cause people to provoke each other or be a little snarky with each other or that type of thing. So it's an interesting book. I'm halfway through it right now. I'm going to finish it before our meeting in November. And I think it's going to be a great discussion. We talk a lot about the Aspire coaching tools and how working on personal growth really can do a lot to creating this inner state of peace where you always find yourself pretty able to have diplomatic conversations. But this is another model. It talks about the same dynamic in different terms, and it'll give us a different perspective to look at. And I think it's going to be a great conversation. So I hope to see you there.